My mom always told us, your name go a long way. If you go out there and do great things, you know, you can hear the name McNair and they say, oh yeah, he's a great kid, you know, but if you out there making a bad name for yourself and then they hear the name McNair, they like, you know, you don't want to mess with him. You know, you want to shy away from him. And being that great name of McNair, it gave us opportunity. It gave us the opportunity to go out and enjoy life, you know, enjoy good people and surround yourself with good people.
You're going to be a football player when you grow up.
Today is the best day of your life. Believe it.
He might be the finest quarterback produced in the last 10 years.
He used to be like that. That's all I need.
Fortunately for me, I didn't lose my life. Didn't lose my job. Football convinced me that life is a team game.
Rest of your life, nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it.
Independence Day 2012, Nashville, Tennessee, home of the Titans. The city celebrates the birth of the American Republic. But on this date in 2009, a day of celebration was cloaked in tragedy.
Somebody's been shot. There's 2 bullet wounds, 2 gunshots.
Is it male or female?
There's 2 people.
I get to the apartment, and as soon as I walk in, I see Steve, and my body just goes into shock.
They're both appear to be deceased?
I think so, sir.
To walk into a room and see them deceased, it just, I mean, I'm 6'5", 340 pounds, man, and I felt like an infant. I felt helpless.
At this point, we don't know the circumstances of these shooting deaths. There's a lot of work yet to be done. It's going to take many hours to process the scene. I don't have any answers for you now as to what's happened, who's responsible, what the circumstances are.
Steve McNair was shot 4 times. The victim of what Nashville police determined was a murder-suicide. A married man killed by his 20-year-old girlfriend. Three years later, the question of how McNair should be remembered lingers on.
Sometimes I'd be thinking to myself, his memory is leaving. And then you bring it up, oh yeah, I remember. You know, I don't want everybody just letting his memory fade away.
McNair was 36 when he died, just 2 years into retirement following a 13-year NFL career. He left behind his wife, Michelle, 4 sons, his mother, and 4 brothers.
We still tell stories about when he was playing Pee Wee football. He just seemed like he was more advanced than all the other kids were. And even when he made a transition from Pee Wee to junior high and then from junior high to high school, he was on just a totally different level. And you can tell that, you know, he was going to be something special.
Steve was born in rural Mississippi and starred at quarterback and defensive back for Mount Olive High School.
Everybody was saying that he was going to be the one, you know, because his older brother, Fred, was good. Timmy was kind of the athletic one. He could do so many things. But you could see from the ankles down that Steven was a little different.
I never thought I'd be this good, but people always told me that I was just like my brother, and he was in high school. They said the best quarterback that they ever come through Mount Olive. I took that under consideration, that I was going to be better as I grew older.
High school is at the center of everything. And when he played, everybody was there. You could run through Mount Olive and steal everything you wanted, because everybody was there.
Everyone was there the day Steve and his brother Tim helped Mount Olive win the Mississippi State title on a play called Tight End Screen Throwback.
The announcer was like, McNair, throw to McNair, McNair back to McNair, McNair throw down the field to Bun. Announcer asked my mom, how many McNair do you have? Yeah, she said, I think I just had 2 playing at the time.
Steve was also good at defensive back. perhaps a little too good. While Florida and Florida State recruited him to play defense, only Alcorn State, a Division I AA school in Mississippi, wanted him to play quarterback.
A whirling dervish. Look at McNair. Obey tacklers. Spinning. Nobody's going to catch him.
You hear about somebody and you go, oh, he can't be that good. We got to wait to see. And he was that good. He was like a linebacker playing quarterback. I remember watching film and flat footage, just 70 yards.
You know, the campus was full. I mean, there was no standing room in the stands. The hills around the stadium was packed, and it was just a great atmosphere.
An overflow crowd on hand at Jack Spence Stadium.
I mean, it was so many folks just to see this boy. And for those of us who've seen him for all these years, we're like, what else he gonna do? He's always gonna be doing something.
Are you starting to become amazed with yourself at this point?
During his senior season, McNair broke college football's all-time record for total offense. After finishing third in the Heisman Trophy voting, Air McNair was poised to become the highest drafted African-American quarterback in NFL history.
Oh, that's a football player. Steve McNair, quarterback.
Which Steve?
Nobody now. He's probably going to be the first player picked in the draft tomorrow.
This was big. These were during the days when the African-American quarterback wasn't seen as a high draft choice.
How do you think you're going to feel when you step out on the stage?
Well, I feel better than I am right now.
We were picking third, so we felt pretty good about our opportunity to get him. Jacksonville's on the clock with the second pick. We heard Commissioner Tagliabue over the loudspeaker on the table say, and with the second pick of the 1995 draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select, and it was real quiet. He said, Tony Baselli, and we got our guy.
With the third choice, the Houston Oilers select quarterback from Alcorn State, Steve McNair.
At training camp, we mess around with the rookies, so we had a little barbecue. So I got one of the farmers to drop off, you know, some little pigs, grease them up, and put them in a pen.
I guess it's a tradition where you have to catch a pig. And then when you catch it, you got to kiss it.
Well, it was going to be a race. It was a contest, so you could get them, you know.
All of a sudden, I'm chasing the pig, and I'm trying to, you know, get it in the corner and this and that. And Steve McNair is just standing there, and I'm like, why is he standing there?
Steve grabbed it by the back of the leg, just held it up like this and smiled and threw it on the ground and stepped out of the ring.
I mean, he waited for about 10 minutes. I'm chasing the pig the whole time, and I'm trying to corner. All he does is just looks at it, grabs it, holds up, and says, I win.
Winning the job of starting quarterback for the Oilers wouldn't be quite as easy.
That first training camp, I remember, was kind of rough because they were taking it slow with him.
We knew it was going to take some time with Steve. We just didn't know how long.
How are you adapting to the new offense?
I'm picking up things as good as I thought I would.
All along, when asked when are you going to play, and Steve's response was when coaches say I'm ready.
Steve always had a great poker face.
Let's go! Let's go, Dawson! Let's go, baby!
When we played cards, you could never tell when he had a great hand or bad hand. He always had a great poker face, so he could always bluff you.
As a backup to veteran Chris Chandler, Steve McNair started only 6 games his first 2 seasons.
He was depressed when he first went to Houston. He was really depressed for them couple of years. I don't know why they drafted me. They won't let me play. Be patient. I said, your time is coming. He said, I ain't never sit on the bench. I said, this is a different league. He said, I just want to show him what I can do.
The Oiler players make no secret of their excitement about playing with McNair.
He got all kinds of experience. Even his rookie year, he got experience. He got to play when we were behind.
You know, the buzz in the city was so high, and when he actually ran in the game, I mean, it was like a bomb exploded. People are cheering and wanted to actually see what Steve McNair can do, and he didn't let people down.
McNair is back on second down.
Oh, he's got it.
On the ball, wide open. Sanders at the 10, at the 5. Touchdown, Chris Sanders from Steve McNair.
Talking about McNair's strength does a great job of standing there taking shots, and he doesn't go down easy. I mean, he is a big stunt.
He's just a naturally strong kid. I mean, he just was like country strong.
I didn't like lifting weight, and he didn't like lifting weight. So we was in college. So we told the strength and conditioning coach we didn't want to lift weight. He said, okay, I'll make a deal with you two. They call it Big Mac and Little Mac. Yeah, Little Mac go over there and do 225 10 times. He don't have to lift weight no more this year. He said, yeah, I got this. So he got up on a 225. He did all 10 of them like it was his first one. So the strength and conditioning coach like, damn, you country strong, boy. He said, yeah, I remember the deal, too. So he went over there in the corner and took a nap for the remainder of the year about lifting weights and stuff.
McNair was country strong and Mississippi tough.
He told me one time, pain is only temporarily. If you get in your mind, pain won't last all the time. You'll be a better athlete.
Those kids that come from these rural areas, they're built different.
Showing that country strong again right there.
With that comes a determination that I'm going to get it done.
McNair trying to avoid the rush. How is he doing it?
You look at those films and see who could tackle him in an open field by themselves.
We call it quarterback draw. Just took off running, and he went in, hit the safeties head first. I said, man, you got to slide. He said, when I pull it down in passing situations, I'll slide. If you call quarterback draw, I'm a running back.
McNair's play earned him a permanent place in the Oilers' starting lineup, even though the Oilers' place was no longer permanent.
Number 9, Steve!
After leaving Houston, the Oilers played 2 seasons in front of sparse crowds in college stadiums before debuting as the Tennessee Titans in 1999.
You know, we've gone through so much, been playing in Memphis and then playing at Vanderbilt and then getting our stadium. I don't know if we knew what to really expect.
Programs, Titans' first game ever. Programs.
McNair is going down. Well, they're going to give McNair an education real early.
That was a game where Steve really struggled and the fans got on him.
Is that McNair is down? I think it is. He's been shaken up.
They booed him. Steve kind of took offense. It was like, they booed because I got hurt?
Doesn't take long, even on opening day of the inaugural game in this stadium. If you don't play well, you're going to get booed.
Steve just looked up at the stands. It was like, man, what are they doing?
Let's go. We got to keep fighting. Let's keep fighting. It's a team that never gives up right here. It's a team that never gives up.
If you believe, we'll always believe.
Right.
It's all you now. Let's go.
We're down by 9 with 4 minutes left, and Steve put 10 points on the board.
McNair takes a straight drop. He fires George 15, George 10, George 5, George end zone!
I think it took them a minute to understand what McNair brought to the team.
But you know what? What did he do? Took it in stride, just like anything else. He never showed us that it bothered him. And I just remember him trying to do some of those heroics and diving for a touchdown.
McNair turns it up, dives, touchdown Titans! Wow! McNair giving up his body.
If the game's tight, you want to win a ball game, you got to do what you got to do to win it, right? He had this just simple approach, it was just be himself.
McNair led the Titans on a miracle run through the playoffs that culminated with a matchup against the Rams in Super Bowl 34.
The Titans quarterback from Alcorn State, number 9.
Here's this vagabond group of guys, with really no names, led by some Alcorn State quarterback, going against Dick Vermeil and Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk. All the big guys, it was the classic, David versus Goliath story.
Goliath was up by 7 with just under 2 minutes to go.
Excellent effort by Steve McNair.
Steve put together a drive like no other.
You could see his heart on his sleeve. Like he was doing everything he could possibly to put us in a position to tie the ball game.
McNair steps back, rolls left, rolls right, in bad trouble back at the 40. He gets away somehow, fires downfield, there's Dyson. Somehow McNair escapes.
you can just feel his energy, and we're feeding off of that. It was like, okay, Steve, take us home, man. Take us home.
So it all comes down to this. 6 seconds to play in Super Bowl 34.
McNair drops, throws right side for Dyson. He dives for the end zone. Didn't make it. He came up 1 yard short.
I look up, confetti comes out the sky, and we just standing there stunned like, that's it?
The last drive, that's shows you how his life was. He never gave up.
Steve McNair has nothing to be ashamed of. He gave it all. The further you go in the playoffs, the deeper the cuts, the deeper the wounds, the greater the hurt.
Despite the loss, the Titans received a hero's welcome back in Nashville. Their starting quarterback was now the toast of the town.
You go from really being Steve McNair, you know, the quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, to, oh, Steve McNair, the man, the legend.
How do you feel, Steve?
That's great. I feel good. It's a great situation to be in at this moment. All the fans out here to support, they showed up through the yes, great.
Man, they just love you.
I love them too. The same here.
From that point in time, Steve could do no wrong in Nashville. It was the VIP life. It was the champagne life. Who is a fun, gregarious character, but laid back and quiet.
Have you noticed Neil's hair?
Why? What's wrong with it?
He doesn't have all the gray in it anymore.
Oh, yeah?
He washed it out.
Did he?
Dyed it.
He trying to look young?
I don't know.
He might have picked it out, you think?
I think he dyed it.
He would go in the training room, watch The Price is Right, take a nap for about 45 minutes, then he would get up and get ready for practice. Every single day. And on game days, we wouldn't see him until it was about 2 minutes, 3 minutes before we had to go out in the field. He was knocked out in the training room, taking a nap.
If it was home, we had a place for him to sleep. If it was on the road, those equipment guys had to find a place where he could sleep. So he'd come over on the first bus, run out, get loose, throw the ball around, come in, lay down on a bed of towels and sleep. And if he had his nap, he was good. If he didn't have his nap, which was rare, he wasn't going to play very well.
And I asked him one day, I said, why do you go to sleep? He said, to relax. He said, I have to get my mind off of everything. When he was growing up, a lot of times when he'd be burdened down, you know, with something on his mind, he would just get off to himself.
Steve McNair faced increased pressure as his star rose, but he found ways to escape it.
One of my donors, Mr. Drew Maddox, had a pond at his farm, and I used to go to it all the time. So I invited Steve one day, and we started to fish. When you're the quarterback of an NFL team, you're hassled if you go out to eat, you're hassled if you go to the mall. So it limits you in what you can have the ability to do and be yourself. So that little spot of land, I believe, gave him an opportunity to just be Steve McNair from Mount Olive, Mississippi.
This was kind of his getting away place. We didn't bother him, and nobody bothered him, and so he came quite often. One time he caught a big catfish, and I said, you're not going to put that stinking catfish in that new Mercedes, are you? He says, I sure am. He said, I'm still a country boy from Mississippi. He said, I like the catfish better.
Eventually, for a player, the game slows down for them, so he can see everything. The problem when they first start is really, really fast. Football and life goes hand in hand. So somewhere in your life, you got to have a place where life can slow down for you, so you can see it for what it's worth, so your next direction, you know, and sometimes give a reflection of who you are.
I'll tell you what, I can't believe my quarterback. I can't believe he's going to play.
I said all week, I said he's playing. In my mind, because I know what kind of guy he is.
Come on, man. He's got a tear in his calf. He's got a hole in his calf.
He's unbelievable, man. He knows how important it is, you know, to be. He's about team, period.
We were playing the Indianapolis Colts, and I was blocking somebody, and the guy hit Steve, and it dislocated his finger.
And McNair
is down.
McNair's down holding his throwing hand.
And I'm nervous. I'm over here making league minimum. You know, we're talking about a guy making not league minimum, and he's in pain.
And his finger was bent the opposite way. And as for me, I'm gonna cry. I'm like, trainer, come and get me. I'm done.
And man, he popped his finger back in place and said, Zach, don't worry about it. You know, we got this. Don't worry about it. I'll be fine. And I mean, I was like, whew.
When they say injury report, Steve McNair and all this hand, question about playing, you know, you say, well, I'm not even worried about it. If he can breathe, he's going to play.
Operating out of the shotgun. Roll out. McNair. Kansas City trying to chase him down. In a crowd. McNair looks for an opening. At level. Steve McNair, who continues to play through injuries. You just wonder at what point enough is enough for his body.
Once he got injured against Kansas City, the spirits were really down.
And he said, well, when I took that shot, I couldn't breathe. And that was the only fear I'd ever heard Steve talk about. He said, I couldn't breathe.
McNair's sternum was severely bruised. His spirit broken.
When I went to go see him at the hospital, because he was hospitalized, he told me he was done playing. He couldn't play anymore.
I said, if you want to quit, quit on a good note. Don't quit because you hurt or because you're angry or anything. I said, leave on a good note. And so he said, I'm tired of getting beat up.
McNair spent the bye week contemplating retirement. He rejoined the team for its game against the Pittsburgh Steelers as a backup to Neil O'Donnell.
And as fate would have it,
O'Donnell may be injured. Eddie George walking him off to the sideline.
The question is, will Steve McNair come into the game?
and I turned and I looked at Steve, and he looked at me and he winked.
On a 3rd and 11, shotgun for McNair. Stepping up, throwing, up high, and
It was like, bam. Just like that, he was back.
Lobs the ball for Kenny. He's there. Touchdown, Titans.
I think it was his moment to go out there and not think about it, just go out and do it and find joy in it.
At his best, Steve McNair could carry a team on his shoulders. A heavy burden for a man who preferred to be alone.
I was just talking to a guy reminiscing when he met Steve. I guess he had bet on the game, and he was cussing, because Steve had a bad game. The Titans lost. Right? He was cussing. Steve played like crap, you know. So he was walking up to him, and Steve was standing right there. Right? But he didn't know that. Do you know that Steve, he was just telling me this. Steve walked up to him, went in his pocket, because he had said he had lost $100. He bet on that game. Steve walked up to him and said, "Here you go, man, I'm sorry." And he said, who are you? What is this? He said, "Yeah, I played like huh?" And dude said, "You're Steve McNair." And Steve just walked out and said, "Sorry about that," and walked off. That's the kind of guy he was. Right? He didn't never want to let anybody down.
You eat yet? How was it?
He always had a minute for everybody. I think he understood that he was in a unique position and that how he was approached, by people, it meant a lot. He understood exactly what his role was.
Beginning in 1999, Steve McNair hosted a series of annual summer camps with his brothers Tim and Fred.
We had several camps up in Nashville. We had several camps here at Southern. We had a camp at Alcorn, overnight camp at Alcorn, and it was great.
Let's go, ready? Go. Come on, go get it.
Good deal, dude. You tough.
He's had about 11,000 kids that came through his camps, and all of them paid nothing. It's so crazy. I mean, it's nothing. And some of the players that have come out of his camp, pretty impressive. A young Cam Newton was there. Troy Smith, Heisman Trophy winner. Vince Young.
Now, come on back. Put it up in the air. All that is a
This is a football camp, but we also teach them, the things about life and what they expect out of life.
Everyone in here, in the near future, will have a challenge ahead of them. We'll have a challenge ahead of them. And it's up to you to be that strong-minded body, to take control of yourself and make the right decision. Choose the right path. Choose the right friends to hang around with.
As McNair's presence in the community grew, so did his role in Tennessee's offense.
Going back to 01, that's when we started to change our philosophy and throw the ball downfield, really get weapons around him to highlight his talents as a quarterback. From 01 to 02, you see him graduate from junior high to high school. From 02 to 03, it was like from high school to getting his PhD.
People saw him as a running quarterback, and he developed himself into a passing quarterback and a running quarterback. All of a sudden, he was doing it all and carrying his football team.
In 2003, McNair led the league in passer rating. He became the youngest player in NFL history to pass for 20,000 yards and rush for 3,000 yards. He was named the NFL's co-most valuable player with Peyton Manning.
When Jeff announced that he was the MVP of the league, everybody stood up and there was a standing O for about a good 10 to 15 minutes.
McNair joined an elite group of peers among NFL quarterbacks. But the company he chose to keep off the field was even more selective.
He was your friend, but just getting really, really close to him, he didn't do that. He said, when you let somebody get really deep close to you, he said, that person will hurt you. During school, he had a best friend from first grade on up. They played basketball together, football together, and he got killed. And so from then on, he was kind of distancing himself, from being real close, to anybody.
I'm a very quiet individual. I do a lot of stuff with me. I'm very, I'm an all to myself person.
He called me one morning and said, could I come out tomorrow morning and fish? I said, all right, come on out. So that night, he gets a DUI.
Do you have any problems with your back? Well, yeah. I know you got a lot of problems with your back, your knees, your ankles. But we also know that you can perform well under pain. So do you think you'd be able to walk straight on a line tonight?
Considering what he'd been through late in his career, he was dealing with some pain. So he's self-medicating now, whether it was alcohol or some kind of medication, painkillers and things like that. There were a few mornings that I knew he had a hard night. He'd sleep it off and he'd say, yeah, I did. I'll get it together.
It's hard to even imagine the shoes he was walking in. Stephen was an introvert. He didn't come out and talk a lot about what was happening inside of him, but he was one that he didn't want to have anybody hurt. But the environment around him, there were a lot of temptations.
Never been handcuffed before?
When I picked him up from downtown, he got in the truck and he actually cried. That's the kind of heart he had, And when we talked about it, he said, man, I let a lot of people down. It tore him up because he wanted to always be there for everybody else. He didn't never want to let anybody down.
After leading the Titans to the playoffs in 4 out of 5 seasons, It was McNair's body that began to let him down.
Doctors at Baptist Hospital today took a piece of bone from McNair's right hip and grafted it to his sternum to fill in the gap and generate bone growth.
In 2005, his season ended early for the second year in a row, this time with a back injury.
I was on the phone with our owner right after he had had back surgery, and I said, you know, you'd probably be happy to know that your quarterback's out here working out. He said, well, if he were to get hurt, would we have to pay him? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, we can't risk that.
You already know that it is a business, but when they ask you not to come into the building and you're Steve McNair, then you definitely know it's a business.
Tennessee drafted McNair's former camper, Vince Young, and traded Steve to Baltimore.
He didn't tell me at first. I had to hear it off the TV. And so when I called him, I said, what is this up? He said, yeah, I'm going to Baltimore. I said, why? He said, this is just a job.
This isn't a family reunion for him. This is a business trip.
McNair led Baltimore to a 13-3 record, but his family remained in Nashville.
He had a decent year, but I just don't think that his heart was totally in it.
It's sad, a day for me, but at the same time, I'm opening up a lot of more doors for the future I got ahead. I can become now the father that I need to be to my kids. I can see them grow up. Sometimes you take things for granted and you just live and just live. Now it's the time for me to regain the comfort I had with my family before I started the National Football League. Thank you. God bless you.
How you doing? You doing good? Good.
This is your last camp here this summer. Mm-hmm. What's the follow like? I guess you go support your boys and do stuff?
I'm hoping to follow my kids and get a chance to see them play since I retired. And the things that I'd like to do is just enjoy life and enjoy the family time I have now and just make up for lost time for 13 years playing in the NFL.
I was here on a Friday and left about 6:30 and talked to him up at the lake, and he was taking fish off and putting bait on for his boys, had that big smile. And then 6-7 hours later, what happens to him, his fate, I can't believe it. I just left the guy with his two boys. He's happy, he had that big smile.
When you talk about people who are identifiable figures like Steve McNair being murdered, that's something that makes everybody take notice. This was an NFL player and one that pretty much everybody knew. It was a surreal situation. I think that people looking at it in retrospect are like, man, did that really just happen?
I remember the news was on the television at the time, and they were doing a live shot right there on the spot where he was murdered, and he just couldn't believe it, man. If I could have been there for my friend one more time, he'd still be here. There's so many nights I've gotten phone calls from him. I need you here, I need you there, and that's the one call I wish I could have got.
Coping with Steve McNair's death was difficult enough, but dealing with the fact that he was killed by his mistress, Sahil Kazemi, complicated emotions even further.
Tim now said, don't turn the TV on. She don't need to see that. I said, I want to know what happened. And, it was really a couple of days before I really found out, what had happened.
We believe now at this time that McNair was seated on the sofa and likely was asleep. And we believe that Kazemi shot him in the right temple, then shot him twice in the chest, and then shot him a final time in the left temple. Kazemi then positioned herself next to McNair on the sofa and shot herself once in the right temple and expired.
it's one of the most up situations I ever been in, or thought about, or had to deal with.
Unreal. It was unreal. And just his sons and Michelle, and it's a lot of pain. It's a lot of pain.
It sickens me. It makes me upset.
There was so much speculation going on back then that you didn't grab onto anything. It didn't make any sense to. You know, still to this day, there's so many question marks, and at this point, it doesn't matter. Trying to sort it out in your head, what Steve meant to you, you know, how you were going to process this, how you were going to explain it to your kids, you know. Those are a lot of questions that, you know, people weren't prepared for.
I was real mad and angry. It's the substance of a man that's so important. He was a heck of a guy. Dadgummit, Mac. Yeah, just a heck of a guy.
You have choices of how you remember somebody. You can remember them, yeah, for the transgression, but let's look at that totally. And what does that mean for you? And what do you take from that?
I know how much he loved Michelle. I know it. I know how much he loved his kids. I want Michelle to remember him as a loving husband, a great father. I hope they grow up to be like Steve.
You know, sometimes I think about it now, and it just seemed like a dream. I said, it can't be true. Nobody perfect. We all make mistakes, and a mistake cost him his life.
You don't have to ever forget, but if you can move on and think of the good things and take positives away, then that's all that matters.
For all the stuff he had did around Nashville, Houston, Mississippi, Baltimore, he'll live forever. Steve McNair will live forever.
This is my life, you know. This is how I get away from football. I come out here and have a peace of mind. You know, I don't mind going out here, getting in the woods and fixing fence. And my favorite part is branding my name on the cows. That's what I like to do. So anytime we get ready to brand, I make sure I be here to do that. That's the fun part.
When you have your priorities in order, you can kind of dictate what you want to do in life. Fish on. Oh, a little bitty one. They're a lot bigger than that, though. Trust me.
He was just fun. Just a fun person to be around. Whenever you see him, you always smiling. Never a dull moment with him. So, like when I see him, I just be like, yeah, this is gonna be a good day right here.
When we go fishing, it's like you just get away from everything completely, and you just get to have him all to yourself, and we just have so much fun.
After the games, if they won, he would come over there and get Tyler and I down, and then we would go in the locker room and we would just play with all his stuff. And then when he would go take a shower, we would just be like playing, and then when we came back, we would be like, quick, stop.
See if which one gonna drop one. He got pretty good hand.
I think about him like all the time. When I wake up, I think about him. When I go to sleep, I pray every night. I miss him, you know. It's just like that.
Yeah. Yep, this is it. This is it.
You know, I think about him all day long. Sometimes I catch myself talking to him. You know, I be looking at a picture up there side the wall. You know, I talk to him and I say, now if you were here, what would you do?
Yeah, I have dreams all the time about him all the time, and we seem like we talk.
Sometimes, you know, I can walk by, come out the room, I say, that's that cologne Steve McNair had on. You know, I know he here with me. You know, I can't forget it. You know, and I don't want people to forget, you know, the person that he was.
What we do, we know on 4th of July, we always have a big cookout here. We take the negative and turn it into positive so we can just stay together.
I just want to say welcome to each and every one of you, my family, my friends, and everybody. This is the 3rd time we did this in honor of Steve. He got killed on July the 4th. It's just one of them days that you won't never forget. You can be able to live with it, but you won't forget it. And I just want to thank each and every one of you all for coming out, sharing this moment with me and my family. And I love y'all from the bottom of my heart because you all, every one of you all has stood by me during this time.
During his playing days, Steve McNair endured the burden of pain. But he was Mississippi tough, so he pushed on. So too does his family. The weight of his death is lightened by sharing with others memories of who Steve McNair was and who he hoped to be.
10 years from now, what would you like the kids to say about Steve McNair?
Well, he was a great individual, person, as well as a great athlete. I try to lead myself to where young kids today would try to pattern themselves out of an athlete like me.